And today, we're going to be talking about how authors can express themselves. And so, one thing that I've really loved about this unit so far is thinking about how different people express themselves in lots of different ways in their life. If you walk outside, you'll see that not everybody dresses the same. The way that we dress can be a way we express ourselves. And I've noticed from just what I've seen you guys do in the past week with your inquiry that some people choose to express themselves in different ways, like through painting or through playing sports or through playing a musical instrument. And the same goes for you guys as writers. What I love is listening to you guys share your stories during our writing time. Even just last week, learning about how some of you were really creative with your sticker stories. That's a way that you can express yourselves. And so, one way that authors do that is they express themselves by writing and by writing books, just like you guys have been doing. We've learned this year about a really neat author named Eric Carle, and he wrote all these fun books over here. We talked about how he uses his creativity, ways of expressing himself, by painting pictures and then using that paper, cutting it up in different ways, and making the animals for his book. That's a really cool creative way that he can express himself as an author. There's another author that you've probably seen lots of his books. His name is Mo Willems, and he writes books that are really, really neat, all about different ways that we can express ourselves as well. And so I found this really neat podcast that I thought we could just listen to. It's just about a minute long. So you guys can close your eyes or just listen. He's just going to be talking. We won't see his picture, but it's about where he gets his ideas for his books.
Leah?
She asks,
where do you get your ideas?
where do you get your ideas?
Well, Leah, that's a very good question. And I'm afraid you may not like the answer because ideas are not things you get. People tend to think that ideas are things like diamonds, and then you go out and you get them and you grab them and you bring them back. But that's not what ideas are. Ideas are things that grow. And so the way to make a book or a story is to have the tiniest inkling of an idea and then to plant it. And you plant it in a notebook. And in that notebook, you move it around and you see what it needs, what sort of nutrients will help it, and you draw it and you draw it over time, and slowly some of those seeds will grow and die. And then some of those seeds will become invasive and they'll just sort of choke up your whole garden of ideas. That's not fun. And then every now and then, one idea sort of grows up and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and starts to bear fruit and become a tree and gets so big that you can cut it down and burn it for profit, which is called writing or making a book. So every day I am planting little seeds in my notebook. Matter of fact, today I just finished a notebook filled with all kinds of little seeds. And when I finish a notebook, on the front page, I write all of the story ideas that are inside that notebook. And then I go back a month later or 2 months later or a year later, and I see how they've grown.
Wow, that's great. I get asked this question a lot, and I always say that I get...
So what he does, which I thought was really cool, is he takes just a simple little notebook and he writes down all of his ideas for his stories and he keeps them in his notebook. And he talks about how you don't just sit down and write an amazing story in one day. It takes lots of days for your day or for your brain to think about your ideas. So I have a couple things for you to do today. You're going to watch a story by Mo Willems. Then you're going to write down your favorite part of the story. And then you're going to write down one thing that inspired you from reading his story or one thing that filled you with joy as you were listening to the story today.